A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hello.
Serious Rock Talk back on the dial, traveling at a speed at 33 1/3 RPMs, where the vinyl will bring you to your new preferred destination. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Kennedy, in the Joni Sadler studio with none other than a man who is a huge fan and also my co-conspirator and co-creator, but he's also a huge fan of Edward Bear. Ladies and gentlemen, the man next to me is
Dr. Ian Clarke. I did see Edward Bear live, believe it or not, about 7,000 years ago.
that song, last song.
Oh, God. They played my high school.
I have the 1973 album with the bear on it.
Oh, wow. Collectors.
$2. Vinyl.
Listen, I'm amazed.
And it's a Canadian pressing, duh.
Of course. Yeah. I hang on to it. No, they were big news for a while.
No, it's not bad. It's decent. And the reason why I buy it, you know how they say never judge a book by its cover?
Yeah.
Well, never judge a vinyl by its cover, because I
Yeah,
saw
it's a
this
good
big
point.
little bear and you kind of want to give it a hug and run away.
I know. It's a bad thing.
It is. When it comes to cute little animals, that's me. So, Ian?
Yes?
Are you excited for today's episode?
Mamma mia, am I excited. Oh, of course I am. What's up today?
Today we're actually going to do musicians of Italian heritage.
Okay.
And I'll just start it off.
Rock musicians, that is.
That is correct. In Italy, music
Yes.
has traditionally been one of the cultural markers of Italian national cultures and ethnic identity and holds an important position in society. It enabled the development of opera and much more of the modern European classical music, such as the symphony and concerto. So if you go to Stephen Wheeler's collection, that's what you'll see. Italian music is generally eclectic but unique from other nations' music. Italy contributed to the development of disco and electronic music, with Italo disco known for its futuristic sound and prominent use of synthesizers and drum machines, one of the earliest electronic dance genres. It is interesting to look at the music industry as a whole. For more than 80 years, some of the most popular singers of every era shared a key commonality. They had full or partial Italian heritage. From legendary crooners like Frank Sinatra to some of the biggest pop stars of the 21st century like Ariana Grande, Italian Americans are at the forefront of the music industry. Even more remarkable is that there is a substantial Italian-American presence in every genre of music. Italians have influenced classic rock, pop, easy listening, jazz, heavy metal, bubblegum, and so many other genres. While Italy has produced iconic rock stars like Toto Cutugno, Zucchero Fornaciari, Umberto Tozzi, Domenico Modugno, Minna, Andrea Bocelli, Raffaella Carrà, Il Vollo, Albano, Neck, Umberto Tozzi again because he's such a legend,
And Fred Johnson.
Giorgia, Roby Santini, Grammy winner Laura Pausini, Eros Ramazzotti, Tiziano Ferrero, and Maneskin, Mahmoud, and Gali have received international acclaim. Today we'll explore the musical legacies of Italian-descended rock legends from the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States, artists of Italian extraction,
All right.
as Ronnie James Dio famously described them. His quote, "I am of Italian extraction, and my grandfather on both sides, both my mother and father's side, came to Italy from America." And that was Dio. Ronnie James Dio, known by his stage name Dio, was an Italian-American heavy metal singer. His real name was Ronnie James Padavona, and Dio means God in Italian. Like Dio, I too am of Italian descent, and my stage name is Ferris Kennedy. Dio was famous for the devil horns hand gesture he frequently used during performances. This gesture is referred to as the Moloch or Malocchio. In different regions and dialects of Italy, it could signify the evil eye, provide protection from the evil eye, or symbolize good luck and protection from evil spirits. While Dio did not invent this hand sign, he popularized and cemented its association with heavy metal music. I agree with Dio's explanation and use of the Moloch gesture as part of his iconic stage persona and performance style. In his words, invented it? No. But perfected it and made it relevant to rock? Yes. Italian American and Italian artists have been important in rock music in many ways, including pioneer the rock and roll era. Many of the most popular rock and roll singers of the 50s and 60s were Italian American, including Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Al Martino, and Perry Como. Influencing popular culture, Italian American vocal artists continued to influence popular culture in the United States in the later 20th century. Developing an original synthesis, Adriano Celentano developed an original synthesis of American rock, adapted to Italian tastes. Where does it start? As we take this journey, you may be surprised by just how many famous artists are Italian Americans. It's pretty incredible. When one thinks of Italian singers, individuals such as Chairman of the Board and later called Old Blue Eyes, Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, better known as Anthony Dominic Benedetto, the King of Cool, Dean Martin, Dean Martin, Paul Crocetti, Al Martino, better known as Jasper Cini, Vic Damone, and Perry Como, better known as Pierino Ronaldo Perry Coleman, also often come to mind. This is understandable, as traditional crooners paved the way for Italian Americans in music business. Dr. Clarke?
Well, why were there so many Italian crooners? Well, when you look at American music, is it due to what? Well, a combination of factors, including the large Italian immigrant population in the U.S., the inherent melodic nature of the Italian language, the rise of the crooning style during a time when Italian Americans were seeking greater cultural acceptance, and the strong emphasis on vocal expression in Italian culture, particularly within opera traditions. Now, for the record, a crooner is a singer who performs with a smooth, intimate style that originated in the 1920s. The crooning style was made possible by, and this is important, better microphones. It really comes down to that could pick up quieter sounds and wider range of frequencies, allowing the singer to access a greater dynamic range. This suggestion of intimacy was supposedly wildly attractive to women, especially a youth subculture known at the time as Bobby Soxers. And if you've ever seen any bios of Frank Sinatra, you know what I'm talking about in Bobby Soxers. The crooning style developed among singers who performed with big bands and reached its height in the 1940s up to the late 1960s. So there you have it. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao. The best of the 1950s and 60s of the Italian-American rock stars. I have a list.
Okay.
And Dr. Clarke, I'm going to obviously interact with you because he knows this.
I know this stuff.
He knows it.
I know some of it.
Some of it. And not the fact that he wasn't really there. He just knows it.
Yeah, I know Mozart. I wasn't there either.
So
I don't think.
I got Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Yeah, we're just, before we hit the record button here, we're talking about Frankie Valli. He's now 90 years old, and he's still going. Frankie Valli is an amazing singer, strong songwriter, and with the Four Seasons, he did amazing stuff in the 60s.
The next one, Dion DiMucci.
Dion DiMucci is still going. Dion and the Belmonts. What a great singer. He's on the cover of Sgt. Pepper. He's still alive, still going. He was on the last tour with Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. He was one of the guys that did not get on the plane.
Bobby Darin.
Bobby Darin's a really interesting guy. Died fairly young due to a heart problem. Italian heritage for sure. And one of those guys that has a very strange upbringing. He could do it all. He could sing, he could write, and he could act. He was up for an Academy Award.
And who's better known, Ian, as Mr. Beauty School Dropout himself? Frankie Avalon.
Yeah, Frankie Avalon made a whole bunch of beach movies with Annette Funicello. I think he's still going. He's an entertaining guy.
Bobby Rydell.
Bobby Rydell, how could I say, a cloudy career. I'll leave it at that. He had some hits.
The Cha-Cha. Connie Francis.
Connie Francis was a great singer. She had some great hits. She was always very kind of a preppy, upbeat singer. She recorded some albums just in Italian.
Johnny Rivers.
Johnny Rivers, we didn't know he was Italian. Johnny Rivers is the guy. We always thought he was Hispanic. Johnny Rivers put the Whiskey A Go-Go on the map back in the 60s. Still around.
Freddie Cannon.
Freddie Cannon, what was the hit off him?
He's got best known for Palisades Park.
Oh, yeah, which was written by the guy who created The Gong Show.
Tallahassee Lassie and Way Down Yonder in New Orleans.
That's a great song.
What do we got here? Lou Christie, which we didn't even know he was.
I didn't know he has an amazing voice. Yeah, his big hit. What was it?
Lightning Strikes.
Oh, that's it. Put this podcast on hold and open up Lightning Strikes with Lou Christie because it's fantastic. It's 3 octaves range.
Now we got a composer, actually, Ian, Bill Conti.
Bill Conti's his rights for the movies. And did he do Rocky?
Yeah,
he did some great stuff.
And The Karate Kid, the next Karate Kid. That's all he's got, actually, here. Oh, and For Your Eyes Only. He's got that.
Pretty big.
The next one is... Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, Henry Mancini, an even greater film writer. Breakfast at Tiffany's, Moon River. He did Peter Gunn.
The next one here, Edward Brigatti Jr.
Him I don't know. You got me in that.
Oh, so basically he is an American singer-songwriter. He was the co-lead vocalist along with Felix Cavaliere and percussionist in the rock group The Young Rascals.
Yeah, later the Rascals, yeah.
Yes, sir. And who else do we have here? Oh, Jerry Vale.
Okay, well, Jerry Vale was kind of a minor crooner. I'll leave it at that.
And here's an interesting one that really threw me off. And Ian, when we went over this, Don McLean.
Shut up. I didn't know any of this. Don McLean is quite an Italian name.
Well, it's Italian descent on his mother's side, who's a Bucci.
Okay. Okay. I think it was something called American Pie, or maybe it was Neapolitan Pie. I'm not sure.
Annette Joanne Funicello.
Annette Funicello, yeah. Great 60s star. Well, 50s, 60s. Yeah, there you go.
So those are the 50s and 60s. And now we have Italian descent rock artists that have profoundly shaped the evolution of hard rock, metal, progressive, modern, classic rock genres, along with pop and country. So now here are the top artists. I kind of had to smush it a little bit because there was a lot.
There's a lot.
So Aerosmith. The band's lineup includes 2 members of Italian heritage. We got Joseph Anthony Pereira, which is Joe Perry, and he's Italian descent on his mother's side. He's professionally known as Joe Perry. And then we have Stephen Victor Tallarico, known as Steven Tyler. Who didn't know that? Well, I knew that. But
I actually knew that one too.
You know. The next one, Weezer. You're like, what? Weezer? Who would be Italian in Weezer? Well, Rivers Cuomo. I don't know if he's related to Perry.
I wonder.
There is some sort of, like, if you look at the lineage way back. Yeah,
maybe.
So there's one there. Black Sabbath. The band's lineup includes, again, of 2 members of Italian heritage. The first one is Anthony Frank Iommi Jr.,
Yeah.
professionally known as Tony Iommi. And, no, unfortunately, it's not Ozzy Osbourne. It's Ronald James Padovona, which is professionally known as Ronnie James Dio.
There you go.
Bon Jovi has a gentleman of Italian descent. Do you wonder who it could be?
I don't know. Maybe it's the drummer.
No. It's
okay.
it's John Francis Bon Jovi,
Yeah.
better known as Bon Jovi, and he phonetically spelt it that way. Interesting enough, the Bruce Springsteen and E Street Band has 2 members of Italian heritage. Funny enough, Steve Van Zandt, whose birth name is Lento, and also he's known as Little Steven or Miami Steve. And we have Bruce Frederick Joseph Springsteen. What? Yeah, his mom is a Zarelli.
There you go.
So, next, Motley Crue. Interesting enough, the band's lineup included 3 members of Italian heritage. Founding member and current bassist Frank Carlton Serafino Farana Jr., better known as Nicky Six. We got John Corabi and Randolfo Francisco Castillo, professionally known as Randy Castillo.
I didn't know that. That's interesting, of course.
Yeah, very interesting. Ian, did you know that Kiss had some Italian members in it?
No, the Kiss has about 300 or 400 members in it besides Gene.
So the band's lineup included 3 members of Italian heritage. We got George Peter John Crisciola, better known as Peter Chris. Then we have Vincent John Cusano, better known as Vinnie Vincent. And we have Paul Charles Caravello, better known as Eric Carr.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
And my good buddy from Steel Town Dave, I stumped him on that one because he's a huge Kiss guy.
Good for you.
Yeah. Here's Ian's favorite drummer, Liberatore Liberty DeVito. Billy Joel's drummer, Ian. Remember we did a drum show?
Oh, yeah.
And we put him on the list. You're like, when I think of Billy Joel, I think of the drum work.
He's a ginger baker of light rock.
So he's been known he's been with Billy Joel forever. The next one is actually Dave Lombardo. Yes. He is a Cuban-American drummer, best known as a co-founding member of the thrash metal band Slayer, and he is of Italian descent through his paternal great-grandfather, who relocated to Cuba in the 19th century.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of Italians went to Cuba.
Ian, this one here, I think you probably know him from Woodbridge. Frank Marino.
Yeah, please.
From Mahogany Rush.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this band?
Canadian band, been around forever. Yeah.
That's it?
Pretty well. What do you want to know? I mean, I don't know any of the hits, if they had hits.
The next one here is Aldo Caporuscio, better known as Aldo Nova.
Yeah, I'm going to say. That one I knew.
Here's another one, Ian, your good old friend Gino Vanelli.
Listen, he gets knocked a lot, but you've heard me say this, folks, perhaps even 2-3 years ago on this podcast. Gino Vanelli has an amazing, amazing voice. It's just great.
No, gorgeous voice. You always said gorgeous voice.
I always said gorgeous. Okay, gorgeous. He did. He had a great album called Powerful People. It's just too bad that he couldn't keep it going.
The next one, a lot of people knew this. Madonna Louise Ciccone.
Yeah, that's pretty famous.
Pretty famous there. Here's another one. Stefania Joanne Angelina Germanotta. Lady Gaga. Here's another one, too. Gwen Renee Stefani. And now she's got Shelton after that.
Did she hyphenate it or something?
She just added it. I don't think she hyphenated, but she is of Italian descent.
Oh, sure is.
The Runaways actually have Lita Roseanne Ford.
Okay.
This one here was very interesting. I heard the rumor, looked it up, was pretty happy. Alicia Keys is actually of Italian descent.
Way.
Yes. So her real name is Alicia Aiolo Cook. Italian heritage on her mother's side, Teresa Aiolo.
Incredible.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
so basically, her grandparents came to Italy, to Sicily. Excuse me. Well, of course.
Sicily.
So in Italian culture, very simple. It's either you're Italian or you're Sicilian.
Okay.
That's you talk anyone, you're Sicilian. You're Sicilian. You're Sicilian. That's the big joke, right? So in other words, your father is Sicilian and your mother is Italian. That's how it usually goes.
But the Sicilians do that too? Like, he's Italian, he's not Sicilian.
No, they say Sicilian. Sicilians are so proud of being Sicilian.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So if anyone asks, you're not Italian, you're Sicilian, you're Sicilian. And they have a different dialect. Not as bad as the Barese dialect, which no one can understand, but at least they have a different dialect.
Yeah.
So moving on forward, Red Hot Chili Peppers actually have someone of Italian descent.
Who?
John Frusciante.
Of course.
Yeah. And his real name is John Augustus
Well,
Frusciante.
that changes it.
And his mother is Gail Bruno. So there's another.
Hey.
Did you know Steve Vai is of my descent?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Stephen Ciro Vai.
Interesting name, eh?
Yeah. Here's another one that you probably knew. Joe Satriani,
Yeah.
the Silver Surfer. I don't think he sings, though.
No, he's like a Jeff Beck type guy. He's an amazing guitarist.
He's still around.
Sure is.
This one here, Ian, I think you knew. Susie K. Quattro.
Yeah, the Quattro sisters, sure.
So her name actually is Quattroci, meaning four eyes, or Quattro occhi. But then they shortened it to Quattro, I'm assuming, whenever they came
It's a
over.
cool name. She's a brother, too, that's in show business.
And this one here was actually pretty interesting for me to find out that he was Italian. James Joseph Croce.
I didn't know. I thought he was... You sure? That's interesting. On one side or something?
Well, so the way it's pronounced, it's croce, meaning cross or the sign of the cross. Obviously, everyone knows he's an American folk and rock singer. His parents, James Albert Croce and Flora Mary Babucci Croce, Italian Americans whose parents immigrated from Trasacco and Balsorano in Abruzzo
Wow,
and
that is
Palermo
great.
in Sicily.
It's Sicilian, not Italian. Okay.
So if you notice, he actually does have some Italian features. He's got the 70s stash, you know.
I guess. I never thought of him as Italian. Okay.
This one here I knew. Arianna Grande Butera.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a stretch.
She's from Boca Raton.
Okay.
But her parents are her Italian American of Sicilian and Abruzzese roots.
You know, she's so small I can fit her in my stomach. That's how tiny she is.
She is that tiny little girl. Everyone knows Ronald James Padovona, better known as Ronnie James Dio, and I'm doing the sign of the horns that he always does. Next, Christina Adriana Chiara Scabbia. She is literally an Italian singer. She is one of the two vocalists of a gothic metal band called Lacuna Coil.
Okay.
Here's an interesting one. Phil Anselmo,
No.
the lead singer for Pantera.
Interesting.
Yeah. This one here, Ian, you knew. Domenico Michele Antonio Troiano.
Dominic Troiano. Yeah, great Canadian guitarist. Who's with the Guess Who?
And we have Our Lady Peace. People are like, what? Yeah, Our Lady Peace does have a singer of Italian descent. You guys know him as Rain Maida, but he was actually born Michael Anthony Maida.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Here's one that really threw me off guard. Chris Isaac.
No way. He's Italian?
His mother is a Vignolo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This one here, I had a hunch, and then I did some research, and sure enough, 10,000 Maniacs, Natalie Merchant.
Really?
Her real name is Mercante, and hence when you translate Mercante, merchant, market,
right.
you know. So it was anglicized when
good
her
for
grandfather
you.
came.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. Interesting one here, Thomas Baptiste Morello, better known as Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave.
yeah.
Or Rage Against what?
Martin Sheen.
Yeah. Why not Charlie?
Why not Charlie? You're right. He'd be closer.
This one here, I kind of knew she was Italian. She's a country singer, better known as Kelsey Ballerini.
Yeah.
This one here, Ian, I know you knew. Salvatore Philip Sonny Bono.
Yeah, it's very true, eh? Sonny Bono.
Yeah. Now, this one here,
He was
Ian,
great.
we freaked out on this one when we found out. Foreigner. Louis
I know.
Andrew Grammatico.
Yeah, that's
Lou Gramm.
Lou Gramm. I know he's kind of changed that a bit. Who knew that?
This one here was another one that caught me off guard. Ashley Nicolette Frangipane.
Who's that?
Halsey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shift there, eh?
Yeah. Interesting one here. I didn't know this one was Italian. Maybe you might have. Cynthia Ann Stephanie Lauper.
I didn't know she was Italian. No.
Her mother is a Gallo.
Interesting. Half Italian.
Yeah, so Cyndi Lauper is Italian. Everyone knew that Dimitria Divone Demi Lovato,
Yeah.
she's Italian.
Yeah.
Susan Tedeschi.
And one of her husbands, or that means her
Trucks.
husband.
Well,
yeah.
was she Trucks?
Derek Trucks.
Yeah. He's...
They're both great musicians.
Yes,
by the
they
way.
are. Then I kind of have the last two here.
Okay.
Samuel Timothy McGraw. Tim McGraw.
Yeah, I knew you threw this in to surprise me.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened.
His mother's a D'Agostino.
Incredible.
And then the last one I put on here, Ottawa's own voice of Italian extraction on
Who would
both
that
sides of
be?
the parents, Regina Bianca.
Wait a second. She's been on our show a few times.
Absolutely.
She did a great job, too.
And she is obviously of Italian descent. Hence, whenever we did that show, we were speaking our language, and Ian's like, yes, I'm just a simple Scotsman that understands nothing right now.
Pretty well.
Until he gets his little dictionary and he's like, what do you think?
What do they say? I mean, ciao.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella.
So this is it. This is what I have.
Well, that
of-
was a lot more informative than I was led to believe. Good for you.
I surprised you,
You surprised me.
and you're impressed.
I'm impressed.
You're happy.
I'm more or less happy.
More or less happy.
I'm never that happy. That's an old Seinfeld line. It was okay.
He's the most grumpiest man in the world.
No, I'm just gonna. I think it was great, and who knew all these Italians walking around? Good Lord. You can't identify them anymore. They sneak in because they changed their name.
Well, you have one in the studio with you at all times.
Who knew? But no, I kind of knew about 3/4 of them, but some snuck in. Lou Graham, okay. That's
That
a
one
good-
through me as a curveball. I had no
Never.
idea.
No, come, but Sonny Bono. Everybody knew that one. Salvatore Bono, yeah.
Was he a mayor? No, he was a mayor or governor.
And he couldn't sing, but he was an interesting cat.
He was very He was very charismatic actor.
There you go.
Well, that was very. I even got shocked on it. Yeah, Lou Graham, that threw me off.
That's just ridiculous.
What's the other one? No, Cyndi Lauper, that threw me off.
That really threw me off. I didn't even consider her as, half Italian? No.
You knew Dio. You knew Dio.
Well, yeah. Those are kind
What's
of
the other one that
famous
threw you
ones.
off? Oh, Chris Isaac, that threw me off.
That threw me off totally.
Tim McGraw.
That doesn't even make any
The only reason why I
sense.
knew that is because of NIAF, which is a North American Italian
interesting.
organization that me on the Canadian side, I'm part of that one too.
Yeah, right.
So we it's kind of interesting. You know, Jill Biden is Italian.
That explains a lot. No. Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't know that either. So it's just interesting when you see all these names, and it's all Hollywood, right? That's the funny part. And the way they spell some of their stuff. Listen, for those of you, a little history about the Italian alphabet. There's only 21 letters. There's no J. There's no K. There's no X. There's no Y. They added the Y later, as they call it, the epsilon. They call it. So names like Yolanda is usually spelled with an I. So it's kind of interesting, that aspect there. But yeah, it's kind of cool. So
Thanks very much. I really
That's
enjoyed it.
well, I'm Ferris Kennedy, and
And I'm Dr. Ian Nocesco Broante Clarke.
we are signing off.
Bye-bye.
Buonasera.